Alright, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to the EAW podcast. It is me, Showster 26. I'm here today. As I'm recording this, it is July 25th, 2017. Tomorrow night, big event, huge event. It's the next episode in Neo, our brand new developmental brand. And you know what? There's nobody I would rather talk to about this show, about the Neo brand, and really kind of about writing and e-fetting in general than the guy I've got with me this week here on this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a former New Breed champion, and the current national elite champion. Let's all give it up for Stark, baby. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. You got a really good podcasting voice, by the way. I should just say.
Well, thank you for the compliment. Hopefully somebody might hear this one day and say, I want to shine this kid here. He'll make us some money here, and maybe I'll put a greenback in his pocket too. I don't know why I'm speaking like I'm from 1934, but...
I just saw Dunkirk. I heard a lot of that accent, so...
Alrighty, so... first off, how are you today? How's your day been?
Good. Pretty standard, just work, hanging out. That's pretty much it. Got home, did some shit with the dog. I was playing Overwatch right before we started this, so standard day.
Seems like I'm the only one not playing Overwatch. Okay, first thing I wanted to talk about is you are the head writer of Neo, which I gotta say, anybody who didn't catch the last show, check it out, because it was a pretty well-made show, especially the main event. I wanted to talk to you about how you got the gig of becoming the head writer of Neo, because it seemed like in a very, very short amount of time, it went from something we were discussing as a possibility or something we wanted to reintroduce into EAW into, here we are now. We have a developmental brand.
Yeah, so pretty much what happened was when I first got back, I started back up writing for SAT.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I don't remember exactly if I started for Dynasty or Showdown, but I was writing consistently 3 to 4 matches a week in between Dynasty and Showdown, and I realized I was getting pretty good at it because I've been writing since pretty much I'll say 2012, 2013. Yahoo Answers Defense. I don't know if you're familiar with that, if that predates you or not, but
predates me a little bit.
That's pretty much yeah. So. That was all that. I got to AWL. I'm sure you've heard about it. TLA's from there. Moongoose McQueen was the owner of it for a while too.
Okay.
Who else? Johnny Ventura was there. I think I just said TLA. Chris Lee, for sure. He was the top guy right there. But yeah, I used to back up right there, and I was doing that for Sen and Brian, and I was because I was pretty much fighting the New Breed stuff for Sen, and he would even take my ideas and input for stuff that would happen. I think one thing specifically was Burning Desire. It was meant to be you versus Lucas Johnson, but I suggested throwing Anthony Leonhard into the match, and he took it. So I was okay, whatever. It's not groundbreaking, but
so you're to blame. You're the guy I gotta blame. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and eventually, I brought up the developmental show way back when, in April-ish, but I was only back for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and obviously my reputation is that I come around for 2 or 3 months and then I leave, and I've been doing pretty well this time. I don't think I'm going anywhere anytime soon, so, and Brian told me, he was dude, just make a forum, that's the best way to go about it, get community support, and that's what I did. Everybody was for it, and there's a lot of planning with DEV and Trey specifically. They really helped it get off the ground, and then what happened was Cage hit me up on Discord. He was I want to throw in my hat as your co-writer. I was sure, because it works out. Next week I'm going on vacation, so Cage is going to be running things.
Okay.
Generally I usually come up with the ideas, and I have Cage refine them. So he's definitely a major part of the show, and so yeah, that was it. conceptually we were trying to figure stuff out. Obviously, the whole thing with the name, I'm sure you were there for that. We took weeks trying to come up with a good name for it, and eventually we just settled back on EO after community vote. My idea was Evo, which we're using for this tournament now, but I don't know. I like Neo Wrestling as a name for a show, and I feel like we're already battling back against it before they come with it, because obviously Uprising was a good show, and the Evo series is going to come out pretty well. I'm actually pretty proud of the match I wrote this week, so it'll be good to see that come out.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
So yeah, I was just, because I remember the whole thing about the vote. It's like, it seemed like it happened like literally moments, like the name got decided like literally moments before the show went on, the draft show went live. So yeah, props to the guys who managed to pull off that little bit of writing and able to take a result and put it up there. Yeah, quick turnaround.
It was DVD, I think.
Yeah. So this is your first time as a head writer, correct? You said you've been writing matches for Showdown. Have you ever really worked as maybe a backup or an associate writer or even a head writer anywhere else?
Oh yeah, actually about a month or two before AWL died, Moongoose passed the ownership down to TLA and some other chick, but TLA had me and some other guy who I was tag team champions with in AWL with, so we were co-writers with TLA. Like, he was still the head guy, but we were working under him. We had some pretty decent creative input and everything, so that was that. And before that, I ran another event. It was pretty solid too. It was like, I think at our peak we had like 30, 35 members in between two shows, and I was running that. But give me 1 second, please.
Okay, hold on. Wow,
so
wow,
like,
35 guys. That's a lot.
Yeah, it was pretty solid. The issue was that it was a voting defense, so clearly a lot of bullshit and politics went into all of that. People didn't really like me as the boss for some reason, even though it was like, I don't know, if you're going to leave the match results up to a community vote, I feel like that's about as objective as it can get, because I wasn't really pushing any agenda as far as storyline went. But I guess eventually, it just turned into who could politic the best, who could, imagine that in today's EAW, it would be the same three people winning every match every week. So that it would have worked out. But writing for that was fun. It definitely helped me. And one major thing I did last year during my hiatus was with two of my friends. We ran kind of a fantasy defense league. We were really gonna do it like fantasy football style, where we go by wins and losses in real life. But eventually, we just turned that into fantasy booking our own shows. So.
I've always kind of wanted to do like a fantasy EAW draft. Like, you have so many guys as coaches, general managers, whatever you want to call it, and then everybody will kind of just draft their team. I've always kind of wanted to do that, but figuring out a rule set, that would be a hell of a thing. But yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. What specifically do you like about writing the Neo brand? What made, what has been the benefits, the pros, and also what's maybe even some of the cons of writing this brand?
Okay, so pros definitely, if I'm going to be doing 3 to 4 matches of work a week, it's kind of nice to both help the newer guys get acclimated to the whole system of EAW, as well as having this platform to put on big matches that wouldn't really have as much prominence on the main shows. I got to present Finnegan versus Moongoose as this epic little feud going on as the highlight of the show, and their main eventing shows and shit. That feud's definitely not done either, with the finish up that match at their rematch, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, since they're in the same block. Yeah, and the Evo series is really fun to write, because we were discussing ideas to really get Neo off the ground, because we could have just thrown all the new guys on there, but there's no incentive to watch that. So Moongoose, Finnegan, they're pretty popular guys. They got good
They got fan
following,
bases.
so people are going to be tuning in for them, like, specifically. So if I get to present that as a big feud, it'll get eyes on some of the, like, newer guys that are definitely showing a lot of promise. Like, Braden Wolf is really great. Morales Canton is exceptional. And James Ranger is, like, these guys are all pretty solid. And I feel like if they were to be thrown onto the main shows right now, they'd just be, like, floundering for the next couple of weeks, maybe months even, until the main writers figure out what to do with them. So Neo's definitely a good platform for me to improve my writing and for these guys to get used to the whole EAW grind. So that's as far as benefits goes. And cons, I've yet to encounter any. I have 2 solid backup writers, Target Smiles and Large Mia. They're doing great. Cage and I are managing the stuff pretty well too, so everything's going pretty smoothly so far. We're still really trying to narrow down what the prize of the EVO Series tournament should be. We've got 3 main options that they're all like equally good. We're just trying to figure out which would be the best, and that'll definitely be announced by week 5.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for that one. Definitely. Let's see. Now, specifically because you mentioned that Moon Goose is here, he's the current New Breed champion. What do you feel it means to you to have the New Breed championship acting as kind of the main championship for the Neo brand, instead of, say, developing an entirely new one, or having its own, like, its own Neo championship or something of that nature? What does it mean to you to have the New Breed championship in Neo?
Right. Yeah, so again, like that, we pretty much decided that in the early stages of the planning, that we'd focus on the New Breed while a solid roster develops. And just the difference in matches taking place on each show. We had 4 this week, and now we're going up to 6, and one of them is a tag team match. There's so many new guys coming in, like the Motor City Mafia, like I said, Wolf, Cantu, Ranger. We're developing a solid roster, but definitely I have the UB Championship on the show to bootstrap interest and also highlight that title, give it a solid view. And I think we're definitely raising the stock of that title. No offense to Lucas Johnson, but I felt like that reign kind of just dragged on for a second due to a lack of solid competition.
Well,
because he's faced he's faced guys like you and Anthony Leonhardt, but I don't know. I also feel like this is a issue that Lannister also addresses a lot in chat about, main writers not being able to prioritize the quote-unquote lower divisions over the main event, which is arguably if somebody threw another 2 championships onto me to fight next week, I'd fuck up entirely. But yeah, so where having the UB championship is definitely great, and we're definitely going to transition that out of the show, but later on, because Moose is definitely locked in for the next 10 to 12 weeks, and who knows if he's going to stay champion, but having that is great. A Neo championship is definitely going to happen. The only question is when, and that's what we're still trying to figure out. But I feel like with the level of talent that we have on the show, it will probably be sooner than later.
Okay. Now, I wanted to talk really quickly about the last show. Just kind of bring up some talking points, I guess. Whatever's here. First off, you have James Ranger looking good in that squash against El Ironico. That was a pretty good one. You had the
Al Anderson, actually.
Yeah, Al Anderson. I'm sorry. Wow.
Confused the shit out of me. It's all good.
Yeah, names are not good with me. A drink you may buy. No. So him getting this win off, obviously, there was some issues with Theodore Hilfiger. He kind of got the boot right before, but overall, from what you've seen of James Ranger, what are your early impressions of him? I like how active he's been so far, and that's always a good sign from early when you first start out here?
Yeah, he's active. He's a pretty solid hand. Lots of room for potential. I like the pick base. I like the character. I don't have anything bad to say about him yet. He's his block I feel is very conducive to some of these newer guys like him. Can do and Braden Wolf are definitely three guys I have my eye on, and they'll probably be like three of the central pieces for EO past the EVO Series tournament. Considering that some of the first new guys to join, as well as being all great. So that block is definitely going to have a lot of focus on the newer guys, while block A is going to focus on like Mugu, Finnegan, Johnny Nova, and then we're going to use that to build Reginald Damshaw up, and I got my Aquamana on that, and Kaisi Bocious, but Johnny Ventura hasn't really been promoing on that account from what I've seen, so we'll have to see the activity on that. But yeah, James Ranger is definitely great, and he's like, if he sticks around, I'll see him being a new champion or even being national league champion or something like that sooner than later. He's definitely got that potential.
Okay. Now, just kind of shifting gears from the topic of one guy, let's talk about a few guys. We had that big elimination match, which was to set up the next challenger for the New Breed title. You had Harvey York, who is obviously now going to be taking on Amadeus for the Interwire Championship. You had Lucas Johnson, former New Breed champion. You had maybe I always pronounce it Kai's Botis. I guess I'm totally wrong, just judging from how you pronounced it and my bad history with names.
No, I have no idea what I said. I just phonetics. It could be anything.
I just pronounce it Kai's Botis. Ventura, we're sorry if we're butchering the name. Shoot me the pronunciation, or even chat me and I will correct it. Sorry about that. And then you had the winner, Johnny Nova. I'll say this much: I can't really disagree with the guy you took. I mean, not only was he doing this, but he also had the Ring of Fire Battle Royal that week. I know he was promoing pretty hard for that as well. Plus, he shows up for this one here. Thoughts on the match as a whole, and any indication as to when we might see that title match, actually take place, if you happen to know, or if they're keeping it on the down low, you don't kind of tell us.
Yeah, well, the Cage wrote that match. It was great for sure. I love matches like that, just the non-stop rallies to the end. Mm-hmm. Harvey York did the promo, so he got eliminated first. Lucas Johnson is since we chose Nova as the winner, we decided to go with Lucas Johnson to be that big bad heel that he had to overcome at the end. And it worked well, I think, because Johnny Nova is clearly consistent. I feel like he hasn't been fighting in a while, but he's a former New Breed champion as far as I know, so it'll be interesting to him.
Okay.
And he held that title years ago. I think that dude was around Pain for Pride 5-ish, because yeah, man, that was a while ago. But he's got his chance for redemption here. I'd like to see him do well. And as far as when the match is going to be, Moon Goose and Nova are going to have a block match at a future date. And whether or not that will be for the title is yet to be seen.
Okay.
Otherwise, we might have to coordinate with the main writers. That's yet to be seen. But more than likely, it'll end up being either at Territorial Invasion or on EO as a block match.
Okay. Interesting route to go if you go with the block match, simply because, again, it's not every day you see a tournament match also become a title match, and there's a prize at the end. Shifting gears again, let's talk a little bit about this main event. McQueen, another tricky name. You gotta love him. And Finnegan Wakefield. This I really liked. How it felt kind of like that old schoolish. I guess you hear about like Ric Flair making the young baby face. You hear about like a guy like him, bumping and selling and coming and the face coming so close to beating the heel champion, and then just one little thing, one little cheap move kind of cost them. I really liked it how this all went down. Your impressions from the match? Who wrote that, and the whole direction that whole match went?
Yeah, so I wrote that match. We definitely considered Finnegan to win the title there, but it was close enough. Like, their promos were pretty even to the point where we had to go with the storyline, like make a better storyline decision, and that was for Lugus to win the champion, to retain the title. As far as the match goes, I definitely had Lugus play more heel, and the ending wasn't necessarily him cheating, because he's not like his character isn't the type of person to cheat. What I was trying to sell was that by the end of the match, Lugus was in full desperation mode. He didn't even realize what he was doing, because he was in a Finnegan Layfield's most dangerous submission move, and he turned that back the best he could, and his feet ended up being on the ropes, and obviously that protects Finnegan, and defeat makes and gives solid precedence to a rematch.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful little match to read. If you guys haven't, I would suggest doing so. And again, I look forward to a rematch if everything that you teased, kind of comes about. Tomorrow, as we speak, like I said, is the next episode of Neo.
Block A begins.
Block A begins. Anything in particular that you want people to keep an eye out for? Is there anything, what do you feel is going to be the thing that everybody should be reading this week's show for? Sell us on it.
Well, we're seeing the debuts of Morales Cantu. Raiden Wolf is a character I'm looking to build up as that kind of heel that the general manager serves as oil for, but because if you look at FCW, William Regal really helped guys like Dean Ambrose and Cesaro put their names on the map, and while I won't be having Ryan Cross wrestle, obviously, just having Raiden Wolf be kind of that anti-authority figure definitely gives him character progression, as well as differentiating him from James Ranger and Morales Cantu, who are going to be top faces if they choose to remain so. Johnny Nova versus Akamana should be a solid match. I actually got that sent in to me. I liked it a lot. I wrote Finnegan versus Damshaw. I definitely think I did a good job with that match. The things about the main event of Uprising that you said you liked, I definitely implemented in that match too. And Cage took care of the Queen versus Kaisi. And as far as segments go, just in general, to go on a tangent, that's something I really haven't done since before AWL even. I have not written a proper segment in 4 or 5 years, so that's definitely, I'm getting used to doing that again. But the highlighted segments this week are going to be Raiden Wolf, Morales Cantu, and a confrontation between Moose McQueen and Johnny Nova, which isn't going to be a contract signing just yet, but I definitely want to put some focus on that upcoming match with the confrontation. So it'll be a good show for sure. I really hope everybody checks it out. I'm sure they will.
Definitely, I'm looking forward to reading it tomorrow night. Let's see. Shifting away from this, I wanted to talk a little bit about you yourself and kind of your history. First off, when did you start watching professional wrestling?
My brother put me on it in 2006. I think the first match I saw was Kurt Angle versus Valet. Oh no, that was a replay of an old pay-per-view. The first match I saw was Kurt Angle versus somebody from like the 2004 pay-per-view, but my first live weekly show, Batista and King Booker, was the first match I saw, and Batista really like drew me in. He was my favorite for a while when I was younger, and I pretty much watched consistently straight from about 2006 to 2011, and that's when I kind of stopped for a little bit. I got back into it late 2012, and I'm sad because I missed the whole summer punk and everything, but whatever. At least I was around for the Shield.
Okay. So here's a question: at what point did you discover e-fetting, and you decided that was something you wanted to try your hand at?
Yeah, that's something. Definitely Yahoo Lancers. I would just I'd go on Google. I'd be like, who's winning Batista versus the Great Khali this weekend? And eventually I found Yahoo Lancers, and when I got on that, I noticed how it was like a community there. Man, it was solid. Like, those were the days for sure. So fantasy booking was really big back then. There was a lot of that, so I would just fantasy book shows first from about 2009 to 2011. And 2011 is when I joined my first EFED, WSE, and that I eventually ended up running. That was that 35-person EFED I was talking about. From then, I got fired from there at one point because the boss just really hated me for no reason. So I went to AWL because we had a couple of people leave WSC for AWL. So I hopped along, and AWL was interesting. I felt like I was underused there. It was just too political for me to handle. There was a lot of ass kissing to get top spots and stuff, and I'm sure TLA can attest to, like, if you were in with the boss, the system would be, imagine people, like, you have one disagreement with DDD, you'd get, like, demoted and booked like a jobber for the next month. That's how it was.
Wow. And
obviously, as I'm sure you see the chat, I could get a little confrontational sometimes. So that definitely did not work out for me there. I won the tag team titles once, but I never really accomplished anything else there.
Okay.
Well, actually, towards the end of it, I made it to the final 3 of the Royal Rumble, because that's when I really picked up as a promoter. And a couple months later, I was supposed to face Liam Patterson for the Gold Rush Championship, which is basically a Money in the Bank type thing. But that got shut down, so that never happened. And I joined EAW a couple months after that, because I think TLA directed me here.
Okay. And when was that? When did you first join up with EAW?
Late 2014.
Late 2014. Yeah. Okay.
I think October to December-ish.
Okay. And through this whole run, was it always the Stark character, or did you have others that you started off with and then, tried a few different alts before really settling in with him?
So in terms of the lore, I've been the same character, like the same person from 2011 to 2017. Currently, Stark is the OG character I've used. I used to go by Phantom up until 2015 here in EAW. But the name change to Stark wasn't a character change. I'm pretty sure I named myself Stark to troll Ken. Since he was Lannister, I was like, alright, I'm gonna name myself Stark, and it just kind of stuck.
Okay. Talk about the inception. What was your first idea as far as, as far as who the Phantom / Stark character was, like, for me, I know it was a process to discover, like, who Mark Michaels and even Solomon Kane were. where did you kind of envision? What was kind of like, take us through that whole inception and development period.
Right, so from 2011 to 2013, up until I joined AWL, it was just a pretty standard, like, heel character. There wasn't much depth to those events anyways. Like, EAW puts a lot of emphasis on character development, which has allowed me to flesh my character out more. So, apart from just being that heel, in AWL I kind of spiced it up with this super villain gimmick, where I role play as the villain, like in character, because I gave this like deranged edge to him or some shit. But it wasn't until I got to EAW, I got the Sami Zayn pick base. I was actually going to be Adam Cole at first. But I'm glad I got Sami because I got to do the whole start man thing.
Okay.
And that was basically, Stark was this, like, helpless wannabe superhero who put on the shitty El Generico mask and went out and did stuff. But I guess at the time that I joined, Jamie O'Hara was on the tail end of his newbie championship reign, and there wasn't much other competition in the division, so I kind of came in. February, I won this championship scramble thing to win the #1 contendership for the newbie title, and at the Grand Rampage that year, I faced Jamie O'Hara and Clark Duncan, and I won that match. And that's when I really took a turn with the Starkman character. He finally had some credibility, so instead of being presented as this goofy underdog, he got kind of this heelish edge to him. And by the time I got through Pain for Pride, I had personal stuff going on in my life.
Yeah,
I couldn't really promo for that, so I lost the title there, and I left EAW until the next year.
Okay, I kind of had a similar thing. Not just personal real life stuff got too hot, and I was gone not for a whole year, but just for a few months, and I found that in the time I really missed all this, and it also gave me some time to really develop another character. When you were gone, did you suddenly start thinking or finding yourself having that extra free time to really tweak and change and say that if I was going to come back, maybe I might want to try it like this? Anything like that going on while you were gone?
Intention of coming back, but when I came back in 2016, I'm pretty sure it's because I was playing League of Legends with Brian or something, and I was like, fuck it, my real life stuff has been sorted out, might as well come back.
Okay. And so far you've had a pretty good shake going so far, or at least it's getting better now. Recently you won the National Elite Championship at Pain for Pride 10. What does it feel like to come back at an event that you lost the title, and now here you are, you're standing on top, winning a title, and some might argue a more prestigious, but a title is a title. What is the feeling, first off, getting the match, and then, going into the promoing for Pain for Pride?
Right. Oh, yeah, so definitely contextually.
Yeah,
I think it's important to bring up 2016 for me, because I did return last year shortly from about February to about May. I came in, I won the #1 contendership for the NEC last year, which was a big part of my redemption this year. So I faced the Pizza Boy at the Grand Rampage, and I lost. I took a little break after that for a couple of months. I came back in the summer, and I wasn't feeling EAW. I wasn't feeling eventing in general. So I left without really telling anybody, which I kind of feel bad about now. But clearly it wasn't a huge deal, and I'm sure I've restored that goodwill that I had at one point with how I've been doing since I got back. So yeah, this year now, I pretty much returned by pure chance. I just got on the stat room one day, and I was like, I'm not really doing much, so I could give this a chance again. And I really like got into it this time. Like, I got to college, I've been killing my English classes and shit, so I was like, man, promos are so easy now. And second week that I got back, I had to face Rams McAllister, and I lost that match. I was kind of salty about it, but it was a pretty good humbling experience. And I didn't think that I'd get another shot against him, but I just, like, no matter what the match was, I put it 100%. And I think clearly the writers took notice, because that National League Championship season stacked. Like, Ryan Marks, Starting, Chris Lee, Obi, just a lot of guys, and for me to do well enough to zoom past all of them and get to Rex McAllister and pay for Pride was great. And it was a good, like, validating moment, because the National League Championship, I've had chances at that before. I always came up short, but I went head-to-head with Rex. We both were pretty busy that week, so we agreed to go one-to-one as far as promos went. We both had opportunities to double post on each other, but we decided not to.
Oh, that's pretty cool that you had that, like, that sort of gentleman's accord with each other. Hello?
Yeah, so Pain for Pride itself, I wasn't expecting to win, I'll be honest. But I did somehow, and it's great. These past couple of weeks for me have been a little rough as far as work and stuff goes, so I haven't been up to form. But promoing for DEVELOPMENTAL, I've already put one up, and that inspiration that I kind of lost after Pain for Pride is definitely coming back to me. So I'm looking to improve and be even better than I was before that, heading into DEVELOPMENTAL and afterwards too.
Okay. Now, so far I know this is kind of early in the run, but is there anybody in the National Elite Division that you yourself want to get a crack at while you're champion? Is there anybody in particular that you're looking forward to, whether it be Lucas or maybe continuing this thing with Nobi for a while? Who are the guys you think of as the guys you really want to face?
Right, so pre-Pain for Pride, there were a lot of guys. I really wanted to feud with Darkin. He's my favorite guy in this federation. I'm like a really big fan of him. We had a really good mini feud going on. And I was hoping that once I became champion, I could face him afterwards, but he's on Dynasty now. So I guess as far as Showdown goes, Nobi, I wanted to face him for getting that done now, and if I come out as champion, I'm hoping to Johnny Nova, Prince of Phenomenal, and definitely Mark Michaels as a character has come such a long way. And no offense, last year I promoted against you, I was like, this is dude retarded.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. Last year when I had a match against you, you were pretty new, I think. So, obviously, nobody comes in promoing fire. So I was just I thought you weren't going to last more than a month or two, because I was getting, franchise demon vibes. But, man, I definitely put you in the top 10 promos just because of the effort that you put in between both of your characters. And I definitely love to face Mark Michaels for the title. I'm really hoping you win the match on DEVELOPMENTAL.
Oh, well, I of course would love to win that match too. But yeah, I mean, this is a really, really solid division here on Showdown, and I think I think it'll be a great set of promos no matter who you end up facing, going down the line.
Yeah, one of the problems I'm also encountering is that I feel like I was a better chaser. But the chase for the title was where I excelled the most, and now it's hard for me to settle into the role as this confident, arrogant champion while maintaining the babyface character that I had. That's definitely a challenge I'm facing, and that's why, like, one of the reasons why my promos have kind of fell off. So I'm definitely trying to reinvent my character as champion, see what I can do with that. Because honestly, like, I had to go do this face versus face match with Rex McAllister, and I don't have a lot of content to use, like fresh content to use again. There's nobody currently, so I'm struggling with that. It'd be nice to face some heels afterwards, like Kai's,
Lucas.
Mark Michaels is a good heel. Yeah, FD's a good heel. So I'm definitely looking to have a feud with one of the heel characters, and that'll help me improve as a promoter for sure.
Okay. Let's see. Now, Now, just kind of shifting into a lower gear, kind of talking about, kind of going into the wrap-up section. Let's talk, so far in e-fetting, what has been your favorite angle so far in EAW?
That I've been in or that I've seen?
Nah, let's do both.
Okay. Favorite angle that I've been in, EAW.
And if you have to, you could even go AWL or another e-fed.
No, there's nothing favorite from that. I guess it would have to be beating Rex McAllister for sure.
Okay.
That was, it could have been anybody, but winning that National League Championship was definitely validating. Like, that fulfilled 7 years of e-fetting for me. And my favorite moment that I got to witness, it might just be recency bias, but Brian Daniels versus Robbie B.
That was a hell of a match.
Yep.
That's, you're like the second or third guy who's told me that already. They put on a hell of a show.
I will say I did kind of predict, because I was going through Robbie B's profile to see what he's been up to, and I saw that he had the super finisher, like King's Landing or something. I'm not sure about the name. But once I saw that he had a super finisher and I saw he was having that match with Brian, I knew that Brian was kicking out of that. So I'm glad I predicted that, I guess. Oh yeah, it is the King's Landing. But yeah, it was definitely great. I was marking out. And it's rare for a written match to do that for me, but it was just so intense. Perfectly written, honestly.
And that's just a test. It's a testament to both guys, really. We may have covered this, but just one more time. Who were your favorite people to work with? Who were your favorite guys to kind of have those promo battles with? And if you can elaborate a little bit, why?
Yeah. So Dark Kane and Rex McAllister really brought out the best in me. Dark Kane was good because I had this whole like super happy hippie kind of character. He was just this straight up like degenerate street filled like evil guy. So probably against that kind of character was fun because everything I would say he'd have some like negative counter to, and I put like this happy twist on everything he'd say, and it was good because we just bounced back off each other. There was a lot of fresh content in all of our promos.
A lot of.
I think we went 4-4 that week, and it just stayed fresh. Like I didn't have to repeat myself once.
A good contrast of styles is basically what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay.
And it worked out perfectly. Rex played the kind of cocky heel champion against me. That was perfect foil for me too. That was definitely a big learning experience for me. And one name from a couple of years ago, Jamie O'Hara, facing him for the New Breed Championship. Clark Duncan was kind of shady, so it pretty much came down to me and Jamie, and that was my first like big match. And for me to hold my own against him back then was pretty big for me, I felt. And he's one person I'm really hoping to face in the future again.
And it might be for the world title next time.
To promo against would be Darkane.
Okay. Alright, so Darkane. Here's another question. What is your favorite match in real life? If you have to pick one, or maybe even two, what match that happened in real life is your favorite, your go-to? Hello?
Sorry, I was thinking. I would say Nakamura versus Ibushi from Wrestle Kingdom 9.
Okay.
And more recently Okada versus Omega 2.
And 60-minute draw one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Both just epic matches.
Okay. Let's see. Now, is there anybody in, say, EAW's past who's maybe not with the company anymore that you would have liked to have worked with? You know, not so much in the current roster, but let's say a previous, somebody who isn't around.
I guess as far as my character goes, I would have liked to face Bryan Daniels, the character. That's a more recent one, but I guess looking further back, Liam Catterson.
Okay.
Every time we were supposed to feud, something came up, and that's just one match that I've never had to have that I've always wanted to. So he'd be the name for that.
Okay. And this is kind of usually how we always wrap things up. Have you ever pitched an angle or or a storyline or a match to one of the writers, and for one reason or another, it just it didn't get onto the show, but you thought it would have been really cool if it did?
Oh yeah, I've been rallying for Stark versus Lannister for years now. That's and I obviously Ken's just on another level altogether, and it was more jokingly from me back then, but I do feel like if Ken does stick around, that's a match that could happen sometime later this year, maybe next year. We are both on Showdown. That match sells itself by our names alone, you know what I mean? And it'll be like, you'll definitely be the best first-time pro I've faced. So promo against him would be a real test of my ability and see whether or not I'm actually able to keep up with the main event guys.
Yeah, I mean, that Ken is another guy I would love to work with myself. Just because, like, when you think about the Mount Rushmore promoters right now, he's definitely a guy in the consideration. Well, again, I wanted to thank you for your time, man. I'm looking forward to a hell of a show tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to reading Neo and seeing what happens with Mongoose McQueen and Johnny Nova. I'm looking forward to reading all this stuff, man. Any last words before we call it a night?
No, I don't really have anything to add. It was a nice podcast. Neo's definitely going to be great tomorrow, so I hope everybody goes ahead and checks that out. But other than that, this was fun.
Alrighty. Well, thank you again for your time, man. You have an awesome night. See you around in the chat.
Hello?
Yeah. Have an awesome night. See you around in the chat, brother. Alright, so that was Stark, the head writer of Neo, our developmental brand here in EAW. By the time you've heard this, the next show, episode 2, will be out already, both for this podcast and you called me back by mistake. And we'll also see Neo episode 2 out. Thanks again to everybody for listening. Like, subscribe. And feel free to drop some some suggestions for people you would want to see on this show. We'll always be willing to take questions, always be willing to take comments, and if you're interested at all being a guest, hit that DM button, let me know. So till the next time, I'm gonna say this is Showster for the EAW podcast. You guys have an awesome one. I'm out.